Kiviranta. Hey, welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. He is back. The cat is back. You heard it first 2 seconds ago there with that sound bite. I'm going to give you a new one right here. Meow, meow. We are going to be cats meow today. We will be howling cats. The cat is back. Meow, 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 meow. Right? Let's go. A little bit of news on Friday. This is awesome, AJ. It got you going today. Got Tiff going. Got everybody going. Been a little bit of a quiet few weeks, but you know what? I like it. I'm going to give you the floor in a second here, but Cat, you got to give him credit where credit's due. He's done the job the last couple of years. He's earned the trust of Coach Bednar. He came in on a PTO, went down, signed on an ATO, got himself an American League deal, got himself an NHL deal, and then has been a solid contributor for the Avalanche the past 2 seasons. And, I think this is one that Coach Bednar and his staff are going to be excited that he's back. I think behind closed doors, it's like, please bring him back. But then, management's like, but he wants $1 gazillion. Coaches, they don't care. They just want the assets back. So I think that they found common ground, probably went looking a little bit out, couldn't find what he was getting. I'm glad he's a good fit for the Avalanche for what he is. And, when you're a good fit, sometimes it brings you a little more longevity. You don't have to chase the rest of the league. So I'm glad Kiwi's back. I'm going to give you the floor. I know Tiff's back. Happy to have him back so she can play that sound bite. But let's, what are your thoughts on this one, AJ?
We had talked once we were approaching free agency. There was the conversation about Joel Kiviranta possibly getting a multi-year deal somewhere, getting overpaid somewhere because of the 16-goal outburst. I was just looking this up. He had okay, great. It's lost inside my own story. Anyway, he had like 19 goals in the first 200 games of his NHL career. So for him to have 16 goals last season, very unexpected. And, he was one of the things that I was most surprised about with the Avs last season. I've always kind of been a Kivy hater, and won me over as the year went on. So reliable, so solid. The underlings really came around and were like rock solid. Outproduced the quality of play on the offensive end, but again, like, let's just be honest, like the 16 goals is going to be an outlier, and I think that the rest of the front offices around the NHL looked at him and said, yeah, we're not expecting that to happen again. He probably wanted a multi-year deal in the twos somewhere, and when that did not happen, a return to Colorado was something that just, it made so much sense. We had talked about it in the last couple of weeks that, hey, the Avs still have a hole or two in the bottom 6 of their forward core. He doesn't have a job. Getting him back on a reasonable 1-year deal, yeah, he's earned a pay raise over the $800K that he made last year. Fair enough. Like, he earned that. He did score 16 goals for you. He had 23 points. And I was surprised just as this pod was going live. I was digging into his line mate data a little bit. I did not realize that his line that he played on with Logan O'Connor and Parker Kelly got obliterated in terms of goals. But in terms of all the other metrics, they won their shot share, the scoring chance creation, high danger chances. They were much, much, much better. Um, the, their actual goals allowed at 5v5, they got obliterated. I didn't know it was that bad. I knew that that line did not have a very good run, but I didn't know it was that bad. And kind of incredible, honestly, that he bounced around with so many different line mates throughout the year. And you could look at it and say that he was maybe the guy in that got the shortest end of the stick with all the injuries and all the fluctuation of line mates last season, forwards in and out of the lineup all year. Uh, he played with everybody. I mean, everybody. Guy has time with Chase Bradley and Brock Nelson, Casey Middlestad, Ivan, like just so odd. What a strange year he had, and the underlings ended up being very good. Very good defensive forward, high end defensive impacts as a wing, um, and I think that that's something that it's. I was talking to somebody recently about Kiviranta and coming back to Colorado, and the sentiment expressed to me was round peg, round hole, perfect fit. Exactly what they wanted. He skates, he forechecks, he plays with a fearlessness that Jared Bednar obviously very much likes. And you have to love that about Kivy. And I've always given him that credit, even being a little bit of a hater of his overall profile. Uh, Fearless, absolutely fearless. He goes hard to the net, and you look, almost all of his goals come right around the center of the ice. That's where he gets to. That's where he does his damage. That's where he likes to play. He's good along the wall. He throws the body. And the biggest thing here, though, he's really good defensively. And that makes the Avs harder to play against in their bottom six. And we have been talking for a couple of weeks now. Like, who else out there do you know is going to fit Colorado that you're going to be able to get for cheap that you're comfortable? We were Nikita Prishchapov, Ivan, Zakhar Bardakov. Like, there are some internal guys that are going to fight, Matt Steinberg, that are going to fight for jobs in training camp, but you know that you have an actual true blue bona fide NHL player, even if he's on the lower end in Joel Kiviranta. And that, I think, is the big win for the Avs here. This isn't about raising the ceiling, it raises the floor. This makes the bottom of your roster a little more on solid ground, and you're not talking about a bunch of question marks, a bunch of like, well, maybe Chase Bradley can actually do this job. Like, you don't know. It's one thing if, okay, Logan O'Connor's going to miss the first month or so of the season. Fine. You need a guy that's going to get you through that month. You can take a look at what Bardakov and Steinberg and Ivan, these guys. You can see what these guys have to offer you in that month. That's opportunity for them. But when LOC comes back and takes a job, you want to know like there's still somebody solid around you. TV Ronta gives you that. Um, it's a fair criticism to say that if he's on your third line's probably going to be lower scoring than you would like, especially because right now Jack Drury is your third line center, or Ross Colton is your third line center, who is going to be slightly miscast there. You'd rather have Ross Colton at the wing. So I think that this is good. This is fine. And for 1.25, um, cost efficient, it's a cheap deal. It's hard to really like get upset about the cost here. Um, they've got money to play with. This isn't like scraping the bottom of the barrel for them. I know if you go on Puckpedia right now, it'll say that they have $2 million remaining, but that's with Daniil Gushchin, Ty Felliber, Nikita Prishchapov, and Ivan on the roster. That's four guys that I would be surprised if more than one of those four players is on your opening night roster. Um, so they have more money than that to work with than the 2 million. It's probably going to be more like 4 million. Um, so they can continue to seek out a third line center option. But this gives you Colton on one side, Kiviranta on the other side, and then you can have the Parker Kelly, Jack Drury, Logan O'Connor fourth line, which we saw was wonderful last year. And that's like one of the best fourth lines in the league. You really want to keep that line together. And with Kiviranta, it just gives you one more like solid, stable option. But the criticism of it being a low upside deal is fair.
Yeah, and I think you said a couple things there that jumped at me there. Fit. You said the word fit, and you know how much I love that word. Kivi's a good
Yeah,
fit here. Uh, Max is talking about it. Powers there. He's like Betsy's safety blanket. It is, and it's no different than a teacher, coaches, parents, whatever it is. That's one of his go-to, and he's earned that right because he's been reliable and he's taken the time to really get molded into. I think give credit to Ray Bennett a little bit too. Ray worked hard with Kiviranta in those 2 years there to get him going and to play the way. And no, that was a known fact there to get him going to play Coach Bednar style and get some extra work after practice, video room. He really got himself going to be a reliable, trustable player. So at the end of the day, he's a good fit. When we were looking at what the Avs did at the start of free agency, um, they had to do the Colton thing. The Brock Nelson thing. They did.
yeah,
The Kivirantas was always on the back burner. Why? Because no offense to guys like Kivy, we all know that I secretly love Kivy. The cat, 9 lives, he's back. But those things are you don't have to rush into those things. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys like that out there, but they found, like you just said, the right one. So you don't have to try to fit the square peg into a round hole. It's a round
yeah,
hole on a round. So you're bang on. I'm going back to what you said, and I agree with that. And I think that's why, sure, go look around, go see what you can get. We'll be here for now, until you're not, and we all know that because the door
yeah.
closes sometimes. Look at Miko. It depends what type of contract at the end of it, but it's still you're put in those same different boxes, but it's the same reality that you are replaceable. So I'm glad he's back. We said, no offense to Philibert or guys like that. We
Yeah.
knew that there weren't going to be all those guys in the lineup, and the Avalanche are not done. Somebody's talking about Victor Olofsson. Yeah, I think that's in a different box. Different
Yeah.
type of player, different box. And again, I'm not sure if they like him, don't like him, Olofsson, but it's a different salary in my book. I don't think it's going to be $1 million for Victor Olofsson. So it's a different thing. But that doesn't mean that they've given up on it. And it takes two to tango. There's two sides, right? So the player has to want to come. So I think for Kivy, this is great. It's a great number. This is awesome. Um, do we want to play a little bit of what Rudo had said, or no? Or can we play that? His 17 seconds, or no,
I
Tiff?
don't have it, but it's really not much. He just kind
No,
of mentioned the
no. Yeah,
AAV
no,
and
we can relay. Rudo's on the flight, and he was excited. I think he was very nervous. He didn't want it to be $2 million, and all of a sudden that 125, it's a great number. It's a great number,
It's
and then like
it's fair.
there's a lot of where he could. It's fair. He's deserved
Yeah.
it. He could get more money. If somebody was willing to throw it at him, who knows? Doesn't sound like they were, but you never know in the background. So I think you're bang on what Kibby means and where he's going to end up going. But you know, we don't expect all those guys to be on the roster when the season starts. So
Totally.
I think having
And
Kibby,
and realistically, like let's be real here. If he's on your third line's probably not high scoring enough. He's not going to be good enough for that. Like his offensive ceiling is really limited. He should really be more of a fourth line guy, but you love Kelly, Drury, and OC on your fourth line. Like that's a high end fourth line that will probably get third line minutes when O'Connor comes back from injury. Like that'll probably be like they are setting up to have more of like two like third lines just in terms of minutes distribution than like the old school Jared Bednar fourth line that plays 7 minutes a night. This isn't that roster that's gonna have that. If it's close to healthy, you're not gonna have that fourth line that under 10 minutes. you're really going to have like two lines that are playing between 10 and 12 minutes per night, and a lot of PK guys. A lot of PK minutes will come from those guys. Um, it like ideally, Kiviranta would be best on a fourth line. I saw somebody in our chat mention like a 13th forward at 1.25 isn't good value. I don't think he's going to be a 13th forward. Jared Bednar loves him. Um,
No.
if he is, like, then you've had a really good trade season. You've gone out and got some guys to put in your lineup ahead of him that you really like.
No.
But for now, like, I've been saying this a lot during this summer. The regular season does still matter. You still have 82 games that you need to get through, and Kiviranta definitely helps you with that. But it is fair to say that if you can find a way to upgrade from him throughout the season, then okay. But he raises the floor. He gives you some security, and at 1.25, it's a fair deal. It's not great value, but it's
I want to
fair.
get back. I want to get back to the lineup here in a second. By the time for our first break, there, we are brought to you by Volo. We at DNVR love to stay active. If you're looking for a fun and social way to stay active, you have to check out Volo. They have all kinds of adult sports leagues, including soccer, volleyball, pickleball, kickball, and more. You can play all, I mean, my favorite's volleyball. You can play all across the city, Lodo, Rhino, Highland, City Park, Chair Creek, South Broadway, or wherever is close to you. Sign up as a free agent, that would be me, with a small group of friends or a full team. All skill levels are welcome, so don't overthink it. Just show up and have some fun. Use the code DNVR10 to get $10 off any Volo Denver league. I would be a high pick there as a free agent in volleyball because I'm quick like what? The cat. I'm quick like the cat. We're also brought to you by Game Time. If you're trying to catch a Rockies game for as cheap as possible, there's no better place to look than Game Time. Using their new feature called Game Time Picks, you can literally see what your view will look like before you buy your tickets. Instead of scrolling through a ton of listings, Game Time does the work for you, filtering out the noise and showing you only the best deals on great seats. And right now, new users can score $20 off first purchase when they use the code DNVR. So if you're making last minute plans or just love a good deal, download the Game Time app and use the code DNVR at checkout. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. AJ, I want to get back a little bit. I cut you off there for the ad break, but I want to get back a little bit on the lineup. And I know it gets people going, it gets the chat going, it gets you
Yeah.
going, it gets coaches going. To be honest with you, it's funny, and I don't care. Any coach in the National Hockey League, you're at dinner and you start talking about lineup, and it's funny. Then the napkin comes out and the pen comes out, and all of a sudden it's like lines are going. It's so funny because that's what's fun about this sport. I find it easy in hockey with three forwards, two Ds, and a goalie. It's kind of easy to just kind of manipulate your lineup a little bit. So let's play a little bit of napkin and in the paper there, like you were talking about when I cut you off there about where Kibby fit, especially with LOC probably out 3 to 4 weeks at the start of the season.
Yeah, and that's meaningful, like the first month of the season, but I don't think that it's going to be a. I think we're going to be looking at the problem I was just saying in the last segment that they'll have two like third lines. Production wise, it might be closer to two fourth lines, because it's right now you're looking at LOC, Kelly, Drury, and Kiviranta. If you get 20-point seasons from all those guys, you're thrilled. Like that's what you would love. That would be a career high for Parker Kelly. So like you want to see 20-point seasons. If you get a 20-point season out of Ross Colton again, because I think he had just had 29 last year, right? If you get that, you're disappointed for $4 million. But Ross Colton's not so good that he's gonna be able to drive a line like that. So finding a guy that gives you a little bit of punch in the middle of the ice is something that I think is going to be important. It's I don't think that I think this signing probably removes Victor Olofsson from the board for the Avs. Because because I don't think that they're going to slot Kivy down to a 13 or 14th forward type of position. Um, so that's probably done. I think most of their assets, the rest of this summer, are going to be going to a third line center, or if they magically are able to find a third pairing left shot D that they really like, which the Avs have been looking for it since the deadline. I don't know that is something that is going to just suddenly appear. I think that's going to be an ongoing conversation. But for the forward spot, yeah, I think that I get fired up about it. It's August 8th, man. Let's roster bait a little bit, Like let's talk through some of this. I think there isn't really, if you look into the free agency, the only guy that's going to be able to play center and have enough of a high enough offensive ceiling, geez, is Jack Roslovic, and reportedly he is looking for a multi-year deal, at least 3 years, in the mid threes. He had 22 goals last year. If he could give you that, that's fine. Especially because a lot of it comes at 5v5. It's not like he's pouring in a lot of power play points like a Victor Olofsson. But there have been some attitude issues in his career, and he was healthy scratch during the postseason, and you kind of just wonder like what some of the pock marks are in his profile. That's why is he still out there? Because $3 million for a 22 goal guy, that's really good value. But the fact that he's still sitting out there does make you wonder. Goes, okay, what are we missing here? This isn't like a one-hit wonder, when Evan Rodriguez was still available. He'd really only had like the one really productive year where it was like teams just don't buy this yet. And I think that that's what we're seeing with Victor Olofsson right now. Teams aren't totally buying that this is who he is now. And with Roslovic, I think that that's the easy answer would be, hey, the Avs could afford it. They could figure that out. They could find that money easily. I said that they would have about $4 million if they were to demote 3 of the 4 guys that I listed off earlier and play Jack Roslovic. You're home free. I think the most likely candidate for opening night, strictly for opening night, is Jack Drury's on your third line, centering Ross Colton and Joel Kiviranta, and Parker Kelly is either your fourth line center or he's on the wing, and Zakhar Bardakov, the kid coming over from Russia that they really like, and we've heard Chris McFarland has mentioned him like on his own. He's brought him up. He's mentioned his name a couple of times in a few of his postseason interviews. So I think they're going to give Bardakov a long look, and Matt Steinberg is another guy that I think that they would like to see fight for a fourth line job in the absence of Logan O'Connor. So I think that there are going to be opportunities for Bardakov, for Steinberg, Ivan. I think less so for Nikita Prischapov, Daniil Gushchin. I think those are guys that hey, let's see how they do in the AHL first, and we'll see. Especially with Gushchin, I think we want to see how he's going to adjust to our system. How does his two-way game play? All that stuff. But the easy answer right now, in the absence of making another move, is Jack Drury is your third line center, and either Parker Kelly or Zakhar Bardakov's your fourth line center.
And you know me, I always say make decisions, and it starts in rookie camp and it carries all the way through. And somebody was talking about, I forgot, but Kibby as the 13 forward, which, I get it. I understand the argument. I get the argument saying, when LOC comes back, then he gets bumped to the third line, up, not down, because you don't want to break up that fourth line, right? That's so fantastic. Mm-hmm. That's assuming, knock on wood, that nobody else is getting hurt. But I get it. At that point, that's where, for me, as a player, if I'm the agent for some of those guys, this is where I always say, I always tell kids, starting with my own, you can't analyze. Let AJ analyze. Let the shows analyze. You don't analyze. As a player, you put your head down, go to work. They tell you to play, you play.
We're all paid for our roles. It's our role. Right. You and I, we are paid to do the talking and to worry about the roster math. They are paid to play. Go play.
Which is exactly, so we're on the same page. So if I'm the agent for one of those guys, for me, the target is Kivy, meaning you got to go dislodge that guy. But you can't analyze. So I'm saying two things at once, opposite. You know what I mean? But I'm saying at the end of the day, you have to put your head down, and that logically for us to analyze, not for them to think. I'm talking about the player. They got to go dislodge Kibby, and that's okay. He scored 16 goals, and who do I put in that category? For me, is very simple. It's the Gushkin, like you talked about, Bardakov. And again, I'm putting him ahead of Ivan and Pishpatov, even though Pishpashov, God, I mess up the names. You guys know that. But I'm not even. I've never seen him play, but I just know that different. Meaning, like, plays against men. So it's again, not that the American League's not. I'm saying he's just coming right now with a different bravado, maybe. I don't know how to call it, but we'll see. Time will tell. But for me, Gavin Brindley is one, right? Gushkin. I'm just saying, you want to go dislodge your guy? It's Kibby. Because you're not dislodging a guy on the fourth line because that's not your type of player you are.
Yeah.
Right? Matt Steinberg, that's who he is. And that's the guy I'm going to be pushing for. Right? You know that as much as it's hard to play Nathan McKinnon minutes. We all know that. Top in the world. It's not easy because you got to be very good to do that. But on the bottom end of things, it's not easy to play 5 minutes, guys. And Matt Steinberg can do that. And he proved that he could. He crossed the line. That one, yes, he's going to learn. Yeah. He's not a dirty player. He's going to learn. But when you don't put yourself out there, you can't get called for those things because you never touch a soul. But this guy gets it. He's going to turn into a PK. You can tell. Listen to Coach Bednar after each game, which I love to listen to his press conferences because I think that he's very well spoken. He's very true to what he says, and you can always pick up some stuff. And you can tell he was starting to get that Kivy, relationship with Matt Steinberg, meaning the trust factor. Hey, I need you to be this for 5 minutes, and can you do it for 5 minutes? Not 3.5, but 5. And it's make something happen out of nothing. Sometimes you got to make something happen out of nothing. And that's what this guy does. So I think that there's a little bit of internal competition there. So I'm looking forward to it. And I think it's only the beginning. We're going to see a few more signings before training camp starts.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure about a signing. I think this is a really big PTO market that we're headed for. You look at a lot of the guys that are still left out there, I think there are going to be a handful of PTOs that I would have interest in. I'm not 100% sure. The problem with this Puckpedia list is that it doesn't filter for guys who have retired. It doesn't filter for guys who have signed in Europe, like Jimmy Vesey's still on this list. So it's hard to know exactly who is 100% out there without being full on DGen status. I know exactly what Swiss team every guy is playing for or whatever. But I do think that there are some intriguing guys out there who are PTO candidates. But in terms of upgrading the third line specifically, I think that that's going to have to be a trade piece. I think that's the easiest. They picked up a 2027 second round pick in the Coyle Wood deal, and I think that moving they now have 2 2027 seconds. If they could find a home for one or two of those picks, I would prefer for it to be one, so that they can use the other one later. But that's probably where that conversation will start. The problem with that is that it's going to be hard to find a team that's willing to trade for futures right now, unless it is a guy that is like way overmatched. Like, I love Lucas Reichel, for example, but trading a second round pick for Lucas Reichel right now, he doesn't play center. He fits her style really nicely, but he may not be a good NHL player. He hasn't been thus far. So you're kind of like, I don't really want to give up a second round pick for that guy in August or September going into camp. Like, you want to try and find a guy that's actually solid. Where are you going to find that? And a guy that's going to be able to fit into your salary structure. That's a tough that's a tough situation that they've put themselves into right now, and they put themselves here when they traded Charlie Coyle.
Oh yeah, but that's it was worth the risk in my book. But
Agreed.
when it doesn't work right, this is where it leaves you at. All right, time for our second ad break here of our show. We are brought to you by Cake Mortgage. Hello, Denver property investors. Do you own an investment property? Thinking about buying one? Fantastic. Whether you want to purchase, drop your rate, or take cash out, Cake Mortgage makes it easy. They don't need your tax return. They don't need your W-2s. There's no complicated paperwork. All you need is a lease agreement, and they can just market rent piece of cake. So if you've been told no by traditional lenders and you're ready to expand your investment portfolio, unlock equity, or just get a way better deal, we gotcha. Call Cake now and we'll help you take the next step. Call 800 EAT CAKE. That's 800 EAT CAKE. Again, call 800 EAT CAKE to get a bigger slice of the American dream. Call now or visit cakehome.com to read our 5-star review and to get started. Cake Mortgage Corporation, equal housing lender, NMLS number 1734623, licensed in Colorado by the Division of Real Estate. Terms and conditions apply. We're also brought to you by Toyota. Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA. For a generation, Toyota has built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. Whether you're conquering off-road trails or hauling the weight of the world, there's a Toyota truck that's just right for you, like the all-new 2024 Tacoma and the return of the iconic 2024 Land Cruiser. First year in Colorado, that's what I was driving, 1996. Toyota offers 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive like the epic 4Runner. Toyota also currently offers more low and zero emission vehicles combined than any other automaker to give customers numerous choices to reduce their carbon footprint. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. Auto Nation Toyota Arapahoe in Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson's Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. And the official
We lost him.
That was weird. Cool.
Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR and the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche. Boom. All right. Onward.
Awkward. Okay, so I don't really know what to do in this situation, so I'm just gonna hang out and chat with the chat for a couple of minutes because you guys are talking about some things that I would love to touch on. One of which, Tiff, can you put up the Luke Glendening PTO comment, and I'll use that as a
Yes.
jumping off point to talk about it. Because one of our commenters here asking if Luke Glendenning's a PTO guy. Yes, he would be on my PTO list. He is an elite face-off guy, but defensively, nowhere near as good as you would expect. And he is one of the worst players. Am I gone now? Okay. He is one of the worst players in the entire NHL with the puck. So, he's a decent skater. He forechecks. He hits. He wins a lot of faceoffs. He's awful with the puck. Awful. I have the same problem with Luke Cunnin. It's just a coincidence that they're both named Luke. But Luke Cunnin is another guy that, yes, he forechecks. He hits a lot. The difference between Luke Glendening and Luke Cunnin is that Luke Cunnin scores a lot of goals for a bottom six player. All of his underlings will tell you that he's not a very good player. And he's one of my least favorite players in the NHL because he is terrible. But he scores goals. He would at least raise the offensive profile of your bottom six. That's something. But Glendening is exactly the kind of guy that you give a PTO to see, oh, is he going to fit? Do we like how this guy works in our locker room? et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he barely scores any points every year, despite playing 70 games a season or something. And uh, elite face-off guy. Not like he helps your face-offs. Elite face-off guy. But when it comes to actually doing the things that that you do in a hockey game, actually playing the game, pretty bad. Welcome back, E.
I'm not sure what happened. Like I jumped on my other device. The other one just shut down completely. I can't even reboot back in. So whatever. And you know me and technology, but look at me. Found a way. I found a way. Most people would have laid down and said, "That's it, I'm done." Not me, man.
Not this
Look at
guy.
me.
Not this guy.
Not this guy. Not this guy. What were you talking about? Somebody was talking about Glendenning. Were we talking about roster wise again still, or?
Yeah, we were just. I was using it as a jumping off point. Talk about PTOs while I killed time till you came back.
I love it. I love it. No, but let's keep going here for a bit on this. But that's for me, and which will lead us to our guest that we pre-recorded a little bit there in a few minutes. Like um, sometimes there's high profile guys coming in. We all know that the Avalanche. Let's be realistic right now. There are none, and that's no disrespect to anybody. Last year, I'm talking about coming in this year to training camp to maybe earn a spot. Last year, you had Cal Ritchie, that was
Mm-hmm.
coming in with a little bit of like flair and a little bit of, the first round. And, I don't think there's anybody like that coming in. I
Yeah,
think we've talked about coming in. You got the Steinbergs of the world, right? You got
yeah,
all those guys, Felleber, you got Ivan, you got Bishop and what's his name that
and
I'm forgetting about the right shot there? Not Steinberg, the other one. I'm having a blank here. Um,
well, Bardakov's also in the list, but this
no,
is just a
Bardakov.
list of guys.
But who's the other guy? Who's the other guy missing there? College kid there. Poland. Which
Oh yeah,
I thought he does. If he doesn't get hurt 2 years ago, that's I'm going to say it's stupid rookie game. I think his trajectory is a little different. That's just
yep,
me. Sometimes it is what it is, and you can't give up. And I think I think Steinberg's ahead of him on figuring out how to play 5 to 7 minutes, right? Because that's
yeah,
what you're going to be asked to do. You're not going to be asked to play with Nathan McKinnon. You know what I mean? So take a page out of LSC's book, and from a few years back, and you'll figure it out. So I don't think there's any high profile guys coming in, but there are a few guys, like you said, and then which bleeds into the PTOs, and you have
yeah,
to figure that one out, and no better than the guy we've talked a lot on the show today, Kivy the cat, meow, came in on a
yeah.
PTO, it worked. There's guys that come in on PTOs, it just doesn't work. Um, Go back to last year a little bit. I thought a good example was Belmar. I really, really thought he would have locked in that fourth line spot, right? You know what I mean? And he didn't.
I'm
You know what I mean?
still
Again,
surprised.
that's
I'm still
yeah, no,
surprised.
it's
I thought he was
amazing. Like
fine, man.
yeah, and he's gonna be captaining whatever the France at the Olympics.
Yeah,
I'm
Team
just saying,
France.
like yeah, it's awesome. Good for him, man. What a nice, yeah. I mean, young man. He's younger than me, but I really thought, but
That's my
they
age.
again, that's the way you and me looked at it. I think the Avalanche looked at it differently. I mean, obviously they're hence their decision to move on from him. But
Yeah,
there's always those situations. There's I'm trying to think back of PTO's last couple years, but and there's guys that haven't played sometimes for a couple years and they try to make a comeback. I'm trying to see what was like 2 3 years ago, and I was like, oof,
oh,
and you
Peter
could
Holland.
tell. Yeah, Peter Holland. You're like, yeah, man. I mean, hey, listen, it's remarkable to go back. I think it's awesome. But then you're like, yeah, I
He was
can't see it.
good in the
You know what I mean?
AHL
Like,
too. He was a good
was that?
AHL player.
Yeah. No, good player. That's what I'm saying. But I mean, I was like, okay, I can see it. What sometimes it's more for your own personal mind. You want to make sure that it's really over, or it's do
Yeah,
I don't want to leave any doubt, right? You're too young. You're young in life when you get out of this game. It's so dumb. Your early 30s or whatever it is, and you're considered old in that profession, but in life you're just a baby. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. So PTO season's exciting. You're right. Glendenning, all those guys. There's a lot of guys, and I think that some guys they're at an opportunity too. Like they've made some money, they're towards the end now, and then it's like you can choose the best fit and not, even though you're offered a contract somewhere else, sometimes you're like, hey, I want to go to Colorado because I feel I can fit. I feel that there's a little bit of a history there the last couple seasons, with even Jonathan Drouin to a certain extent, right? You know what I mean? Like, kind of,
Yeah.
let's see what he can do, and then obviously Kivy, the cat, meow, coming in and getting in his nine lives to still be alive right now, which I love it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But my point was, there is no high profile guys. The highest profile guys being, we
Yeah.
talked about it, yes, Nabokov, not coming, coming later. He's a goalie.
Yeah.
Guliev not coming under contract in Russia, and and then Sean being that guy that came in with some promise, but really had a setback. And I think, to all fairness to Sean, I said it yesterday, I'm leaving him alone. More,
Oh yeah.
go play, go see where you're at, go figure it out, and you know what? Keep your chin up, son, and you're gonna be fine. You know what I mean? And just
Yeah.
go out there, control the controllables, and then it will dictate. I always say the market dictates itself. Well, same thing. It's going to dictate where you are as a pro hockey player. You know what I mean? Because everyone
Yeah.
knows you had some high promise, but you had a knee injury. So now it's like, okay, where can you get yourself to, and where you're supposed to be, or you're never going to be the same, which I don't think that's the case. But I think you got to get
Yeah.
out there and just play.
This year is going to be kind of a transition year for their prospect pool because you look at training camp 1 year from now, assuming they don't trade any of these guys away, which I understand is a big assumption. Um, Training camp next year, Sean Behrens should have a full pro season of the AHL under his belt. Should be looking at potentially pushing for a job. Um, Mikhail Guliev should be in North America. Ilya Nabokov will be in North America. Will be part of that training camp. And then Gavin Brindley will have a second pro season under his belt. And we could be looking at a much more competitive prospect pool of
That's right.
maybe these guys can actually help the NHL roster in a meaningful way and not just we're just trying to figure out if these guys can even play in the league. Because right now we talk about Prishchapov and Ivan and Bardakov, all these guys we've talked about multiple times throughout the show. The conversation is centered almost entirely around, can they play in the NHL? Not even can they really help the Avalanche. It's more like, can they be a 13th forward for the most part? Can they belong at the bottom of an NHL lineup? And a
Yeah.
year from now, we will be having a different conversation about, can any of these, because I would say that those guys that I just listed with uh, you know uh, Brindley, Nabokov, Guliev, and Behrens, those are probably Colorado's top four prospects. And
Yeah.
all four of those guys should be having NHL conversations 1 year from now. And again, big assumption, assuming health
Yeah.
and that they
Yeah.
haven't been traded. So those guys should be pushing for NHL jobs. That is not the case next month when camp opens up, when we go to the rookie face-off. Like, Sean Behrens will be there, but that's it. I don't even know if Gavin Brindley will be there. He should be, in my opinion. He should be, but we know that the two Russian kids won't be, and we're not looking at those guys trying to help out the NHL roster. So it's a different. They're in kind of that period right now where, yeah, their system's not going to provide this help. They need to get help from somewhere else. It still needs to be external help. So even after signing Kiviranta today, something that we kind of were expecting, um, yeah, it helps their NHL lineup. It solidifies it a little bit. It gives them a solid baseline. They need to do more. There needs to be another center move for me to really feel solid about where this forward core is next month when camp opens up.
So speaking of high-end prospects, we got the chance yesterday to pre-record. You're talking about one of the brightest young men outside the NHL, Cole Hutson, that plays at Boston University, second rounder, Washington Capitals. Obviously, brother of Lane Hutson, Quinn Hutson, and then the little brother. I forgot his name. Bear with me. I want to say USHL this year. So, a fascinating family, the Hudson family, and Cole is a kid that played at NTDP. Like I said, was unbelievable last year as a freshman. Should be in nomination this year for the Hobie Baker. Different style than Kale McCarr, but a fascinating young man. I love my interactions with him. I love the swag. I'm not going to call it cockiness, but I like the confidence. And let's see what he had to say when we caught up with him.
DNVR Avalanche Podcast here with Cole Hutson. Just finished up a couple months ago with his first year in the NCAA, of course, with the Terriers, as he will no doubt love. Had a fantastic year, including taking gold in the World Juniors. Congratulations on the year, first of all, Cole, and thank you for joining us. First of all, just want to describe what type of player you are for all of our listeners.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a offensive defenseman. You're kind of typical offensive blue liner, try and make plays and have fun with the puck, and do my best to take care of the defensive end too.
Love it.
I want to jump in first right away on something though, because you did talk about your season last year, and we'll talk about NTDP and all that stuff after. But you said something to me. I'm a father. I'm a friend. I'm a hockey guy. I'm all that stuff. But you didn't like your first half of your season personally, and I think you took it upon yourself to really challenge yourself, and you really took on the big load for the team afterwards. Is that something that you've learned from your dad, your brothers, or experience, or are you just trying to form your own identity? And I thought it was really cool what you did, and then you put your money where your mouth is. You were outstanding. Not that you weren't good before in the first half, but the second half was amazing.
Yeah, no, I think it's a little bit of both. I think I obviously want to make my own name for myself, but I also hold myself to a really high standard. So I don't like having any sort of bad play affect the team, and it was in the start of the season, and I tried to hold myself accountable as much as possible to help the team win, because that's what I was there for.
No wrong answers, but we are an Avalanche podcast. Is there a particular NHL player you've tried to model your game after?
There's a few. Obviously, you guys are gonna want me to say Cale McCarr, and I do, but I watch a lot of Quinn Hughes, a little bit of Adam Fox, and obviously a lot of my brother too.
Yeah.
It's not a
Can
bad
you,
call.
can you speak to that a little bit? Obviously, your brother just won the Calder in the NHL. How has that affected you coming up through the ranks, through the NTDP, through college? Has there been any, call it bonuses or whatever you want, getting experience from your brother?
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool, obviously, what he's done. Just puts a lot of pressure on me to try and fill those big shoes. But yeah, I mean, super thankful to have a brother like him, and yeah, just take as much as I can from him.
I just want to touch on the NCAA route. As you know, it's so different now. It's a little crazy compared to what maybe you had planned out, let's say 2-3 years back, thinking how it was going to be. Let me ask you a personal question. Knowing what you know now, knowing that the rules have changed, would you have changed anything? Would you have tried to go, let's say, major juniors and, whatever it is? I mean, I know my answer, but, do you think you would have changed your thought process if the rule change happened, let's say, 2 years ago?
I don't know. I'd probably have to think more on it, but maybe just to get more experience in junior hockey instead of actually, no, I take that back. I probably wouldn't. I feel like I got better at battling for a spot at the program, because you all start off with an equal chance, and I think that made me a lot better competing with all the top guys for that main role on the team.
When you work with an NCAA program, obviously there is less games, more off time, especially for someone coming out of the USNTDP, where it feels like you guys are playing all the time, year round. Is it a bit of an adjustment to play essentially only on weekends? And are there opportunities to work on other things? And if so, what?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really notice too much of an adjustment. It's maybe one less game a week, and I think that keeps you holding yourself to a higher standard. Like I said before, 2 games a week, promise every weekend, and just give it your best shot, and don't regret any of it.
What what is it that obviously second rounder, to the Washington Capitals a couple drafts ago? I know you like to be. I know you like to push yourself. You'd like to be number one overall, and I know that it doesn't matter because the work's only beginning right now. But what was it like hearing your name and knowing that you actually beat you beat Lane, right, number wise, being drafted? I don't care what you say, and I know you have an older brother, Quinn, and all that stuff. Maybe being the forget about the work afterwards, but being drafted sounds like of the three, and then you got your younger brother coming up too. You never know, but right now you hold the title in the family of highest draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't try and think too much of that. Kind of really doesn't mean anything, like you said before, whether you go first overall or 43rd. You still gotta prove that you can make it to the NHL, and you're not really promised anything depending on where you go.
You've obviously thrown up a number of different highlights when you look at your college tape so far. I'm curious, if you had the option, which would you prefer to break out with your feet or with a pass?
Sorry?
If you had the choice, would you rather have a breakout using your feet, carrying the puck yourself, or would you rather have a stretch pass breakout?
Oh, definitely carry it out.
All right. I think I saw that one coming, but I had to throw it out there. Obviously, BU is an elite NCAA program. USNTDP has pretty much all the facilities in the world you can imagine. But when it comes to the competition, I know you played some college teams with USNTDP, but how much of a step was it going from USHL to college ranks?
Yeah, I think obviously a really big step. I think the biggest difference was probably experience in the league. We all know I struggled, and it was pretty obvious to start the year. But it's just the speed and size factor. You got guys that practically could have wives in NCAA, and obviously USHL, you're playing a bunch of 17-year-olds, but you're playing guys in college that are fully filled out and ready to.
The rise of Gavin McKenna making the ridiculous amount of money to go the NCAA route. I'm sure you do just fine on NIL deals. We don't have to get into that, but I am curious if the changing landscape makes the idea of staying in college maybe an extra year or two a little bit more enticing, or is the goal NHL as soon as possible?
No, I don't think it's obviously NHL is the final goal, but I don't think the reason you're coming back is for money. I think the reason you're coming back is to win and kind of have a good time. I think you're going back to get better, and there's no amount of money that I'd go back for rather than signing an NHL contract.
Got to go back to a little bit on the play of the year there. That's whatever going around right now, which the Hockey East play of the year, whatever. I think you're going towards the finals there. Unbelievable play. I think for the viewers here in Avalanche country, it just kind of shows a little bit. You're way more than that. Your game is more than that. But I think it shows a little bit that play and, of what you can do, which is, a lot of magic on the ice. But is that something that you've always, like you said, you want to form your own identity? Is that part of it where you can try things and you're like, you know what, you got the swag and the confidence to do it? Not everybody has that. That's one of your biggest attributes.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of how I am as a person, pretty confident person. I try and carry it onto the ice as much as I can, and I feel like without the confidence that I have, I wouldn't be anywhere without it. I think the stuff I try on the ice is sometimes ridiculous and out of hand, but I think just having fun with the game, being confident, and making plays to the best of my ability is kind of the identity I'm trying to make.
You were second in the NCAA for goals for defensemen. When it comes to shooting the puck in general, particularly from the back end, is there particular things you're able to create or look for that you should pull the trigger, or how do you go through that decision-making tree of when to shoot versus when to facilitate?
Yeah, I think it's kind of just the situation you're in. if there's net front screens, I'm gonna take the shot all day long. But if the goalie can clearly see me, my shot isn't hard enough to just beat a goalie clean. But I try and take advantage of when we have big guys in front of the net and just try and pick a corner.
What's the goal this year? Obviously you want to get better, you want to get closest to the NHL, but I'm sure you've, like you said, have a good time in college, and you probably want to win. You guys have been there last year, obviously one game away, or the final game. Year before you weren't there, but your brother, two of your brothers were there. A little heartbreaking to DU for our fans here in Denver. Not good for BU country, but good for DU. What's the goal this year? Like, goal is to win it all, and obviously with a big incoming freshman class, to try to take on a bigger leadership role probably on your side, which is not a bad thing to have.
Yeah, I think it's crazy to say it, but I'm going to be one of the older guys on the team, and yeah, I want to be a leader. I want to be a pro before I hopefully make it to the pros. And yeah, I think we set the standard last year, making it to the national championship. But I think we got to get it done this year.
When you look at the experience of having that runner up, the WJC Gold, is there some comfort in knowing you have that experience in big games? And how do you compare that to potentially your first NHL game when it finally does come, or turning pro? Do you think those are comparable, or would you even maybe consider the WJC finals games and things like that bigger?
I think probably the gold medal games and all those games are probably bigger than your first NHL game. I think your first NHL game would be for your family, for making those sacrifices your whole career, and you're kind of playing for them that game. But a gold medal game in the World Juniors is, I think, a way bigger stage than an NHL game. I think everyone in the world knows what's going on. Everyone in the NHL is watching that game. I think the stage doesn't get much bigger than that.
I am a little bit curious about this, especially with the NCAA. You kind of mentioned that you do get into some older players. On the defensive side, over the last handful of years, we've seen the NHL get smaller, and I'm sure that transfers all the way down to the junior levels and things like that. Are there specific ways you can adjust for, and you're not small or anything, you're listed at 5'10", that's not tiny, but are there certain ways that you have to approach situations where maybe a guy who was 6'2" can just kind of bowl his way through?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about being smart. There's times where you're not going to win the puck battle, but you can definitely outsmart a guy for sure. Maybe they dump a puck in soft, and the guy has a perfect opportunity to kill you. Maybe you just let him get the first touch and get on his hands right away and live to fight another day.
I like it. Listen, a wonderful hockey family for people out in Denver. The Hudsons, you guys have been awesome, and good luck to Quinn as well, and your little brother, and coming up in USHL this year, correct? And then obviously Lane, yourself, your parents. Great to have you on, and we wish you the best of luck. I'll be watching you very closely. I'll see you a lot. I make it very known to our viewers here in Denver that I'm a Terrier, not a Pioneer. And, looking forward to the interactions. And please keep our little buddy Izzy in check and under control. And same with Maxie.
All right, will do. Thanks for having me on.
Well, here it is. Great kid. I got a soft spot for that kid. I do believe he can duplicate what his brother did, Lane, last year with the Calder Trophy in the NHL. I'm comparing the two of them a couple years behind, right, one another. And, wow, what a wonderful kid, wonderful player. You haven't...
Not again.
Nice.
We're so close.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you move, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, Eric just moved, so he's working on his internet. Oh, he's back.
Oh, hey. I keep giving.
My God, I don't know what is going on. That's why I went back. My bad, guys. But hey, listen, great show today. Great, and again, I love to get my scoops around the Gavin Brimleys of the world from guys like Cole and guys that were at the NTDP, and they know those players, and so it's fun to ask. And great show, AJ, today. Listen, next week we'll get some more guests, and this was it. This was the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We will see you next week.
We all silly like the mayor.